think the honorable thing for our species to do is deny our programming. Stop reproducing. Walk hand in hand into extinction. One last midnight, brothers and sisters opting out of a raw deal.
Do not trust any friends or family members. I repeat, do not trust friends.
Like Peter David, sorta. You know, like I've got lots of memories of Peter David.
You don't find him like to be like a bit hackish, or like I feel like he's got some real strokes of brilliance. I think he's I don't know. I think he's a little underrated, actually, a bit. I don't know.
It's tough to tell. He's written a lot of stuff that I think would change your mind.
Like the Maestro.
Yeah, like War in Pax or whatever the fuck I'm reading here. It's just the whole idea was that the Hulk like survived the irradiated nightmare and by himself created this dystopia city or whatever. But in this flashback prequel thing that Peter David's doing, it's like I'm only sort of skimming it because it's unreadable. It's readable. It's readable just fine, but it's just kind of stupid and a betrayal of the original concept. But Hercules, for some reason, is the original Maestro, and so he's battling against Hercules. I hope he's gonna kill him but I don't know why Hercules has robots and stuff like that. Like, it's not making any sense.
Oh, that's a lot to take in.
Yeah. So I'm on issue 4, and I don't know, the art's pretty good, and I don't know. But I can't recommend it. I'll read the second one as well. I want to see how the Maestro gets to be the proper Maestro, creature of absolute lust, which again completely missing from this story.
Yeah, see, that's a problem for me.
Yeah, that's a huge problem.
I mean, without some fucking weird, like, I don't know, fucking king figure that just basically like creates like a full-blown slave society specifically so that he can get handies from the youngest and best daughter crops, is like, that's a big part of it.
Yeah. It's okay. Well, here's something. We're getting a little that by issue 4. Hulk. Oh, sorry. I'm just kind of reading this. Live. Live reading. The Hulk showed up. The Hulk has showed up later with like a hot lady, and he's presenting her to Hercules, and yeah, she's all stripping down, and Hercules is well pleased, and she's
Hercules isn't the Maestro though.
No, and then it's one of the UFOs or whatever. She turns into gas and goes inside of him and fucking kills him from inside. And then the Hulk kills her, turns her into ice and punches her face. Now we're talking.
Wow, I mean, seems unprovoked, but
yeah. Well, the whole thing is Anyway, enough about that.
The whole story is unprovoked.
Okay.
So. Yeah. So, hi everyone. How you doing?
Oh, I just wanted to throw out a tagline for that. You wouldn't
Sure.
like him when he's horny.
Oh,
They would have sold the whole comic.
Yeah, no, it's
man.
true. I agree.
If you're gonna bring the Maestro back in today's day and age, that's all you need.
Well, but it's so like it would have to be. I mean, it's going to be #MeToo, right? Like, because he's all about at this point sexual slavery and sexual assault and that kind of thing.
It depends on your inclusiveness on the whole thing.
Oh, I see. Yeah, well, I don't think Marvel and DC are in that business. Like, there's a business for that. There's definitely a market for that. That maybe Incredible Hulk comics for 50 Shades of Grey crowd.
Or I was gonna say, we're getting right back to that fairy comic again.
Oh,
Yeah,
Jim Ballant.
Jim
Yeah,
Balance, yeah. He's already got the market cornered, and if you want that, you go into the fringe presses for that. You're not getting it in the mainstream anymore. It's not for you.
Oh.
There's no more hand jobs for you.
How many years till Hulk is public domain? Like 50? It'll happen.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm sure there's a.
Is that how long it takes?
I think it's like
a little
100
while.
years, 100 plus maybe.
Right.
Disney really did a number on that whole copyright thing.
Yeah, because they were worried about, understandably, Mickey losing control of Mickey Mouse.
Did you guys see Sorry, do you guys see that there's now Winnie the Pooh's in public domain? There's somebody made a horror movie about that. It looks, it's probably shit, but it looks really creepy. I'm kind of intrigued.
I think Disney controls the version of Winnie the Pooh that has pants or something, or
Superman, Batman, Disney's Snow White, and Looney Tunes will fall into public domain between 2031 and 2035. Fantastic.
Okay, well, yeah, just get the calendar, mark your calendars. That's when we're finally going to have. The thing is, like all the horrible, awful fan fiction ideas that are clearly percolating in our minds. They're already happening. They're just not. People just can't make money off of them.
It's true. Yeah, there's nothing I haven't seen in a porn parody.
Yeah, I guess people are making money off of it.
I don't know if I go that far. Someone considered not for profit.
I don't know. It's such a thriving subculture within, or like a theme within. I mean, honestly, maybe we're getting a little personal here, but I've never been aroused by the porn parodies concept. To me, they're just really funny, and I guess there must be though people for whom this is arousing. There must be quite a few of them.
Or there's people that like a little touch of comedy with their arousal.
Yeah, I guess so.
To each their own.
More sense.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to end up on Wikipedia later. What are sales figures on porn parodies and getting a whole sense of that marketplace.
Just get a good roundabout.
Yeah. You guys doing good?
Pretty good.
Doing great.
Very nice. Did any of you go see the Doctor Strange movie?
No, I don't have time for that.
I might have gone. I saw it.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to, but my kids are. I don't know. They're too little, one's too little, and it's just a pain in the ass. And when it comes out in HD, I'll steal it like any good charlatan.
That's fair.
Did you?
My kids goodbye. I'm going to the theater, which is nice because they're a little older. And they said goodbye, and it all worked out. Yeah, man. It was. Yeah.
They clothed and fed themselves, and
you're like, go do your gothic makeup and listen to Nirvana. I'll be at the theater watching a Sam Raimi movie.
Exactly.
And you liked it? It was good?
I thought it was quick. Yeah, man. Yeah. I thought I was like every Marvel movie. I drag my heels. I feel like, I don't know. There's something about this phase where it's just like, I don't want to watch them anymore, but they all win me over. It's pretty much exactly what I feel like I wanted from Sam Raimi tackling Doctor Strange. Like a lot of good cameos, a lot of good use of the alternate multiverse dimensions, and just disposable characters. I thought it was quite good.
Fuck, I really should have. I went to go see Top Gun today, and I really regret. I mean, it was fine. That was I was glad I saw it in the theater, but afterwards
that's big dick energy right there. I'm gonna go see a Top Gun.
Yeah, fucking right. I was the youngest person in the theater. Hands down. I mean, it was 11:45 a.m. on a what day is today? Friday, opening day. So it'll be busier later, I assume. But
the kids are lining up after school to see.
Yeah, that's right, man. Highway to the danger zone. Fucking right.
Yeah, I heard Val Kilmer was fucking awesome.
He's fine. You know about him. He can't talk anymore, right? He had throat cancer.
Yeah.
So yeah, he talks for a couple seconds. But mostly he doesn't show up very much because
I just heard that Tom fought the producers and studio pretty hard to get him in the movie. He was like, I'm not he needs to be in the movie.
Okay.
Even though it wasn't working at all, anymore.
Yeah. The guy
I thought was very cool of him. I don't know.
Yeah. The guy that got to play Goose's son fucking nailed it. He's just like Goose. But the movie wasn't as gay as I expected, and was as I thought it ought to be. Yeah, because the first movie is a gay sports movie.
It's not subtle.
Yeah. And this movie kind of like, if you read it in that context, you can kind of see some of that, but it's more generic. You get some real F-14s and F-18s. Sorry, hopefully I'm getting those numbers right. Because I guess he like was working with the military or something like that, so it's like real planes doing shit.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and like I was surprised. I was saying that Tom Cruise gets a lot of fucking mileage out of just like being like in a cockpit and going like, and just like going from side to side. It's kind of remarkable how much mileage you can get out of that just with editing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So don't recommend it, but glad I saw it. That's my review. There we go. Good night, everyone.
So everyone's like, I'll scratch that off my list and go see Doctor Strange.
Yeah, fucking right. I think I still may if I get an opportunity soon. I don't think it's going anywhere.
Make sure you save up some Moxie for Love and Thunder.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna check that out. Check that out.
That's a tough one. I think the use of Guns N' Roses in the trailer puts me off. Like it just feels like maybe it's going to go a little too far into its own camp. But I really trust Taika Waititi, so I trust him. So I mean, it's going to be good, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's a bad reaction you have there to Guns N' Roses, Chris.
It's not even that I don't like Guns N' Roses. Like it's just I don't know, man. There's something about like seeing Fat Thor with Guns N' Roses that it might be a bit much.
Yeah, maybe.
Am I gonna get a montage with more 80s music? Like what are you doing?
Give Christian Bale a chance to overact in a CGI movie. Just let him be.
Oh, no one's gonna stop this movie. Honestly, this judgment is not against the movie. I think it's against Guns N' Roses because I feel the same way. Like when it comes on, I love that, like the way the song opens, but then it just kind of, that song's so boring for me. And anyway.
It's a little overexposed. You would have liked a little Nirvana. You would have liked a little something in the way, Catch up.
Yeah. Apparently, yes.
With the fringe track,
Moody, angsty Thor. That's what we need.
Yeah.
Emo Thor.
Yeah.
That's what I'm ready for.
Fucking well, you're gonna get it by at this rate. That's Thor number 5, right? Like aren't they?
Only 4. It's Thor 4.
Yeah.
Thor 4.
Is he the only one with 4 Thors?
Yeah.
Huh. Oh, there we go. The I don't even know what we mean by that. Who has 4 Thors?
Well, I mean, sorry, I meant maybe Captain America does, eh?
That kind of, I don't know. Does Civil War count as a Captain America movie? I don't know.
Technicality.
That's an Avengers movie.
Yeah, there we go. Thanks, Chris. Arbitrator coming in.
Jury's out on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also, since we're gabbing about stuff like this too, Obi-Wan and Stranger Things just dropped today. Big things of Guan tonight. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I don't. Stranger Things doesn't. But I'll check out. I want to see that Obi-Wan thing. I like. I want to see All My Friends. I want to go back to the prequels. Yeah. But through like a new lens. Like it's like I'm really hoping. I like the idea of taking something that's utterly garbage and redeeming it. I think
it's not very hard if you're using that source material.
Yeah, but it's like
because you got garbage right out of the gate, so improving it's a low bar.
It's true, but I guess what I'm hoping for is like an Alan Moore turn, where you take something that's shitty and like you not only redeem it, but like make the past awesome as well somehow. So you're like, Jar Jar Binks, oh.
Oh man, if Jar Jar gets redeemed,
Oh my goodness, they could not put him on television. Like Jar Jar's out. I hope he comes back like old and like a king or some shit like that. He's probably gonna have slaves. I think that's gonna top it off.
I don't know. What's our guy's name again? Jon Favreau. I think he's got the balls for it.
To bring back slave owning Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, you think anything can stop Jon Favreau? You're wrong.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll see. But I guess in the interim, we better solve more important problems. Like
I agree.
About like what's so awesome about Doctor Strange. Yeah. Okay, so James, you don't like Doctor Strange. Let's get it out of your system.
Let's cut to the chase. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care for him.
Okay. Dr. Stephen Strange, what's your problem?
He's fucking boring.
Okay.
These are generalizations.
That's fine. Yeah.
He's boring.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a fuck about any of his supporting cast under any circumstances. I don't like the use of awkward back alley characters to legitimize that Doctor Strange is a superhero. I don't care for his past. It's also stupid and boring. He basically has the same past as anybody from like fucking what's that stupid show that everybody used to watch about surgeries?
ER?
Yeah. He's like fucking ER and Nip Tuck. Like, God, anyway, it's just fucking lame. It's all lame. It's boring. He's got a mustache. He doesn't really have it. No matter who writes Doctor Strange, who is Doctor Strange? He doesn't have a personality. It's like a sorcerer with a mustache. He doesn't. I don't get any indication in my heart that this is a person that I can empathize with or talk to, or that I could gauge his personality. Or if you were impersonating Doctor Strange, you would be like, "I'm Doctor Strange." That's about it.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Well, all right, there we go.
I want to heap a little bit more on that too. I think Doctor Strange has an antagonist problem. Like all of his villains seem to just be boring and shit. Like, and I think the personality thing. When I look at the Marvel Comics version of Doctor Strange, I can't help but hear Vincent Price's voice, and like it's annoying. And then I God bless Benedict Cumberbatch for like coming up with his own take on the character, and like it's a pretty cool. Like I enjoy his version of it, even though he's stuck with the stupid like wing tips, whatever, and the mustache and all that. But he manages to look cool doing it.
I concur with that. I think Benedict Cumberbatch is as close as anyone's gonna get to seeing what Doctor Strange's personality could be. I know James doesn't like Benedict's American accent, but
it's true. And I have, although I can't disagree with you guys, although I'll disagree. Like I don't like this version of Doctor Strange in the Marvel movies. He's too, I haven't seen the Sam Raimi movie, and I haven't seen the original Doctor Strange movie either.
Not a lot to draw on there.
Yeah, so all I've seen is like the stuff where he's in Endgame or in the Spider-Man movie. And I don't like him in those movies because he just seems really classic Marvel universe, kind of like self-deprecating, ironic sense of humor, flat nothing, which kind of is in keeping with what your complaints about Doctor Strange's are in general. But maybe he's different in the movies. Like honestly,
I was gonna say you might want to skip the movies then.
No, right. I think he's a bit different. When he gets his own spotlight, it is there's some development.
Yeah. Okay. I like the idea of Doctor Strange so much, like it's I'm always going to be like, I just love this idea of that, like he's the Doctor of Strange, like that's, how can you fuck that up?
Easy.
Yeah. You give him a flying cape and the Eye of Agamotto, and you just like let him, and he's got Sanctum Sanctorum. I like, he's Orientalist as fuck, which is, fine. And I don't know, there's just got to be something to do with him. But the thing is, when you try to make him a superhero, I think that's where the problems really start to emerge. And then also, Chris, I think you're right. Who are his villains? The Dread Dormammu, Mordo, and Nightmare. That's it.
Yeah.
The mindless
Those are
ones.
all perverts.
Yeah. I like and again, but like those. So he's got an evil wizard, counterpart wizard that's his ultimate villain, like an evil wizard villain. Fine. So like the count, like his like his Green Goblin, and then he's got like like a godlike enemy, and then he fights the embodiment of nightmares. I mean that's
Freddy.
Yeah, he fights Freddy. That could be cool, man. Like that's the problem.
It should be cool. I agree with you so much. Like I love the idea. I always thought as a kid I should check this out. It sounds awesome, and you just could never pull the trigger because like I don't want to spend money on this fucking guy.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the problem with the Marvel Comics nightmare, especially from the old era, I'm not sure if we're talking about the Oath or if we're talking about the original ones, or if we're just harping on Doctor Strange here, but
I think we're just harping on Doctor Strange.
Is that just basically like whenever there's a nightmare shows up, there's no real nightmare. There's just sort of Doctor Strange chilling with his full costume on, full powers at his disposal, and this fucking reject sort of rolls up looking like a Neil Gaiman Sandman character on a horse. Oh, I'm here, Doctor Strange. The fuck, man.
Yeah.
And I can't get around. I'm like, this is not a nightmare. This is a strange queer fantasy. This is
the nightmare originally in if I'm remembering correctly, back, like from the Steve Ditko days of Doctor Strange way back when, nightmare was something that afflicted other people, and Doctor Strange would sort of help them with their nightmares, like go inside their mind and deal with that shit. That's kind of a good way of maybe handling that, but yeah.
Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah. But then what, right? Like you do that a few times and you're like, okay, well, maybe we should banish this guy from the dimension, huh? Maybe solve the problem there, Doctor Strange. Yeah. So what do we want to tackle first?
Let's tackle the Oath. The Oath is like,
yeah, it's
I think
a little.
We all agree that it's shit.
Yeah, that, and so okay, so moving on over to that, we got.
But I'm also I'm going to defend. I think I hated it less than you guys, so I'm happy to defend it a little bit too.
Sure. I liked things about it, but we'll go.
Okay.
Yeah. So what is this? The Oath. This is Brian K. Is it Vaughan? I like it's Vaughan. Yeah.
Vaughan.
Okay. With Marcus Martin doing the art. This was what were these? December 2006 to April 2007. So I think it was 5 issues. And Brian K. Vaughan at this time is hot. He's doing Y the Last Man, Ex Machina. He's just coming off of Ultimate X-Men. He's got Runaways is overlapping with this somewhat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Speaking of coming off, this guy seems to be expending his load elsewhere.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. Like, okay, Chris, I gotta be honest. I don't have a lot of Brian K. Vaughan under my belt, and I've never read Y the Last Man.
Oh wow.
And
okay.
I've read a large chunk of Saga, so I don't know. I'm not sure if it's fair to kind of put you on the spot, but like, I feel that this work is. A lot. Yeah, I feel this work is below him, but I can't like what are his primary strengths, I guess, if that's a fair question to just throw at you. I don't know.
It's a fair question. I think like he's great with character. He's great with a sci-fi premise. And I kind of thought that maybe the problem with this one is that he's not up to the task of tackling like this more mystic stuff. Even like the overtures towards like the weird like come off more as like sci-fi ideas, like the cure for cancer, the panacea or whatever, however you say that, that like can cure all illness. It just becomes like a little vial in a laboratory, right? So it's like he's kind of trying to pull it in that direction, and I think it. Like he's great with dialogue usually, not so much here. I'm really sad that this is our first time tackling him.
Yeah, I thought
because I really felt like he could do no wrong, and
yes.
Nope. Here it is.
Yeah, I thought it would be 2 birds with 1 stone, having never read it before. So I selected this with hopes because I've never really read any. What little I've read, I've never thought badly of it. I just don't think he's the writer for me. But obviously I don't have a lot under my belt, so
yeah. Well, we got to tackle some good stuff at some point, but this unfortunately.
Well, you know what though? There's a couple concepts and a couple little moments, like the idea of the night nurse, very cool, very clever, kind of a cool opening too, having it come in with a gunshot wound, and I do like the inclusion of the night nurse in the whole adventure. Thought that was really neat. And also I like the little gun-toting bad guy that was clever enough to carry Hitler's gun.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
It had enough bad juju to just cap right through Doctor Strange's magical defenses. It's such a stupid little clever thing to do. So not to talk it up too much here, but But yeah,
No, and
it had some high points and some, but then just like curing cancer is such a ham-fisted thing to address. It's offensive in nature, just in general. It's just like I just feel like that's an odd thing to centralize a story around. Like I just think it's like easily upsetting for a lot of people, and it doesn't personally bother me. I just think it's like there are hokey things you can do, and then there's like, let's make the whole premise of the story be like a magic potion cure for cancer. It sort of dumbs down the disease and dumbs down research, and it just feels stupid. It's just there was I would have just maybe gone with a general illness and said this can cure anything. I don't think it would have changed the story.
But that's exactly what it is. Like the panacea is the cure for everything, but like early on they think it's just a cure for cancer. But then, I mean, the moral dilemma that Doctor Strange faces at the end is, do I get rid? Which he made the wrong choice. Like I have got this thing that can cure absolutely every illness, but I'm going to use it to cure Wong's brain cancer. And then,
right.
Yeah, you're like, what the fuck?
Well, it's kind of funny that, I mean, I guess that's like a Doctor Strange human character flaw, but.
Yeah, there is that. I forget who asked. It might have been Nicodemus asking or saying, like, if you can cure cancer, then or all illness, like, aren't you worried about overpopulation? Aren't you worried about like what's going to happen to humanity if people don't die? And that is something that I guess you kind of have to really think about. It's tidily solved by the fact that there's only a drop of it by the end. And I think you're right, James. That there's something that the fact that it's a cure for cancer that like. It's so obviously going to be walked back that it's hard to invest yourself in it somehow.
Yeah, because superheroes don't save the world. Like they save the world, or they save their friend or whatever, but they never they don't fundamentally
change the world. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you're right. Like this, nothing about this. The very nature of superhero comics militates against you caring about this story. It's just like, oh, is the hero going to die? Well, like maybe he does, but not really. It's all just the illusion of change, and so you can't bring real change.
And then I think the bad guy really hurts it. Like he is like just a fucking random cancer doctor, like anti version of Doctor Strange with a friggin' blonde hair and a no mustache. I
Yeah, he's like he's a shittier version of Mordo. Like we already have the anti-Doctor Strange. We don't need the one who works for the pharmaceutical corporation's Doctor Strange.
There's a weird, like, he also does black magic, but then he protests like, oh no, I just do coin tricks. Why are you a doctor who's the head of a pharmaceutical company that does coin tricks? Like, where does this come? Why are you David Blaine on top of all that?
Really. I don't know. The Night Nurse. That's not even Brian K. Vaughan's. Like, I think he's just. It's fine. It's a superhero universe, right? But he's picking up the threads, I think, from something that was introduced or reintroduced by Brian Michael Bendis.
That makes sense.
In his Avengers run, and the Night Nurse. I think I might know a little bit more about the Night Nurse than I ought to know. Was originally not like any superhero character or whatever, but was like a framing device for like a romance novel or comic book or something like that way back in the day. And then, like Patsy Walker, Hellcat ended up sort of transmuting into like superhero world, and then kind of revived again by Brian Michael Bendis. I think that's the right history of her. And
it's like her, like she runs a clinic.
That saves superheroes and stuff like that. That's why.
Okay. I'm with James. So I like that idea. And I do think the first issue is good. Like you got this like starts with Doctor Strange coming in like shot. You got the element of Wong dying. I like the sort of like there's a bit of a reverence for she's like what did she say, like anyone who has his own personal slave boy shouldn't be talking about fetishes or something like that. It's kind of like poking fun at the source material in a fun way.
Right. Yeah, and the art's very good. We're kind of throwing shade at the story, but I think the art kind of, although it's very good, I think it's not suited for this story. It's too what do we want, like Bruce Timm? Like it's not as blocky as that, but it's very there's not very many lines. There's no shadows. There's no mystery, in any of the images. It's all very like you see what is happening.
Clinical almost in a way.
Yeah. And he's fuck yeah, like shit. I want to say he's Spanish or something like that because Javier. There was like a wave of this type of art that was heading into Marvel at about this time, and they were on Daredevil and they were on Spider-Man, and then they're on this book. And yeah,
I know what you mean. It's very bright. It's very clinical is a cool word. It's also like there's not a lot of like there's not a lot of heavy backgrounds, but it's not that he's bad at doing backgrounds. It seems that whenever there are no backgrounds, it's like deliberate. It's to deliver like more of like a flash to the page. And it's kind of funny. Like you say, it's just not, it doesn't feel very Doctor Strange. Just I feel like is darker than this. But
yeah, the rooms are so open. There's just so much space. Even in Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum. And yeah, I'm going to keep calling it that. There's just so much room for everybody to move. Like there's no sense of. I feel that a book like this should feel claustrophobic somehow, hedged in, and so that way when Doctor Strange busts out, it's like, oh fuck. Yeah, but then the final, that image where he fights that giant demon in the other dimension, like that looks stupid. So the guy's just not suited for it, and it's kind of a bummer because like he's really good. Put him on Daredevil, he's probably fucking
right?
great.
That's true. You're talking about that cat demon where it's got
Yeah.
suffering everywhere. Yeah, it's like wacky or goofy looking, like rather than cosmic,
Yeah, and so maybe that's what he's like. Oh dear, he's like, this is utterly ridiculous. Yeah,
and then it actually looks ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. But then it's on the. Then again, they don't show him battling the creature, and then when you see him, he's all ripped up and he looks like shit, and the being's all I don't know. It's kind of a fun way of doing it, but like what I really like about Doctor Strange is particularly like I like that Steve Ditko shit when he goes into other dimensions and it's all fucked up, and in like really bizarre scenarios, which I guess this movie fucks around with a lot.
That's kind of a big problem with this comic, is that it's like the premise is basically like, Doctor Strange, he's a master of the mystic arts, he contends with nightmares like on a daily basis. Do you know he also actually used to be a medical doctor? Now I know you want to hear more about that part of Doctor Strange.
You want to hear more about Steven and not Doctor Strange. Yeah, fucking no, I don't. I really don't. Although it's nice to see him.
And the idea of sorry, go ahead.
No.
I was going to say the idea of the oath, like you call it the oath, and so, but it's just, it feels like that story has to be about something like a conflict between like magic and science, or his Hippocratic oath, and science, magic. But no, it's just like, I swore an oath as a doctor, I gotta protect Wong, and like that's the extent of the drama that you get out of that premise. Like that oaths are a thing in magic.
Yeah.
I mean, but I think the whole story's soft that way too. Is like that was it. It was like it was a story about the cure for cancer, and then we cured Wong's cancer. That was it.
Yeah, when you put it
Those,
that way,
like,
it's
Yeah,
really basic.
Yeah. And which is, again, such a shame because like it's so much like everyone's. I believe that Brian K. Vaughan felt that they were just fucking showing up and given the goods. And there was all sorts of lead up for this. He was probably very excited. The artist is clearly doing their, like good work. Like there's good storytelling here. There's, everything's understandable to the extent that that you can understand, certain like superhero action. But yeah, just this idea, like, and Doctor Strange isn't a good vehicle for exploring the morality or not even the morality, just like the economics of the pharmaceutical industry, and also
Yeah.
not helpful to spread the constant like this is that whole idea that like there is a cure for cancer somewhere, and but the pharmaceutical companies won't let you have it, and it plays right into that fucking bullshit. That there is actually a cure for the common cold, but there's no money to be made in that because there's no money to be made in cures. There's only money to be made in illness. And this, that sort of rank cynicism, I have no time for that, and I'm deeply disappointed that this book contributes to it without I don't know, interrogating it or making it complicated or anything like that.
Oh, that's kind of but like that's what I mean. That's whenever I see cancer brought up in any story, I fully expect government conspiracy, pharmaceutical companies not allowing me access to the cure and peddling something to give me cancer, like cigarettes. I just expect those sort of tropes, and then that's what sort of gets me going. Like, come on.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
you're very
interesting.
right. Yeah.
Yep.
There's also this. It's just like it's all. I guess the big problem is that it's just too neat. Like you got the doctor who operated on. I guess that's not really a big problem, but it just forms too tight a circle. Like I guess we've already said it. Like Wong has cancer, we cure cancer. Also didn't appreciate the all the very specific American healthcare and doctor jokes, which were it was just weird.
Right.
And the weird flirtation of the Dr. Watson Holmes thing was a little bit a strange choice because he keeps calling night nurse Watson, but they're very clearly flirting with each other, which is fine. I mean, it's just an odd choice to be like Sherlock and Holmes, how they're always flirting with each other.
Yeah.
They're always
That's
going
fair.
at it, those two.
Yeah. Structurally, it's fine. Speaking of tight circles, it's got the gun that shows up at the beginning as the solution to the problem at the end, in sort of classic fashion. And it's unfortunate. And I like that. I like Stephen, even though Nicodemus West is, he does have everybody on the ropes, and he does seem to have a lot of power. Like Stephen's got this motherfucker. He's got the power to just be like, you put me in a cage, you can't put me in a fucking cage, Nicodemus, and the only reason you get the drop on me is because you're lucky and you got some bullshit behind you.
Not even that he just he was just waiting to hear the guy's story before he busted out and smashed his head into the glass.
I
actually go ahead.
No, I'm curious, go ahead.
Okay, well, I was gonna say I actually do want to defend. I actually think Nicodemus West was not a bad antagonist, for the reason that I like that he had a sense of conscience about his actions. Like he was constantly questioning the pharmaceutical company. His whole backstory being that he was a surgeon who operated on Doctor Strange's hands, and then when Strange disappeared, he had this whole sort of mental breakdown of did I now that this guy's not around, I fucked up his hands. Am I responsible for all the people he's not curing? Goes to find the ancient one. He becomes a disciple as well, and it's just kind of in Strange's footsteps the whole way in his shadow. And like when he goes to cure that guy that Strange wouldn't cure, and the guy's head swells up grotesquely. That was awesome.
Oh, that was amazing. That was a great
And then
scene.
Strange just
no.
bitch slaps him. Yeah. He's like, you know, magic can cure people, so you just have to face the fact that you're a fucking terrible magician as well as a terrible doctor.
Yeah, and then he smacks his head against the glass. Nice touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He really beats the fuck out of him in the rain. That's like, the artist sells that so nice. Like, you know, this isn't, you know, again, it's not, I don't know if it's appropriate for a Doctor Strange comic, but it was nice to see. You know, he takes off his gloves and his hands are fucked up underneath. And Marcos Martin, he like that. You can, you know, he's got a good thing for action. You can see from panel to panel like what the bodies are doing, and even though the throw that he enacts is a little strange, not bad.
Yeah,
good stuff.
There's that one panel where they're like he's kind of, because Nicodemus doesn't want to fight, he's just trying to get away, and he's teleporting away, and then he thinks he's on top of the building, he thinks he's done it, and then Doctor Strange is there, and he's looming there, and he just looks big, and like it's a really cool like splash effect. Yeah,
lightning in the background. Yeah, it's pretty fucking cool. And then but then he gets hornswoggled again, made to fight in the rain. But so and then I guess Wong gets saved. I don't know. It's really like, this was so disappointing, for considering like all the talent that was kind of brought to bear here. I'd also find it really stupid, and I'll shut up in a second, but I just like, you didn't know that there was another disciple. Like, that's stupid. You're the fucking master of the mystic arts. You don't like sense another like student of the Ancient One is out there. Like, and the Ancient One didn't tell you because he's a fucking prick. And how many like, does this open the door for like another, like, actually, and I was another disciple of the Ancient One, and he's like this serializing or this adulterous, like serial conqueror of broken men.
He's pretty weird. And the Ancient One's like, by the way, man, like I trained a bunch of super duper fucking weirdos when they're out there. Did about 20 or 30. You know.
He's got
each one of them equally perverse and mentally ill. Like, what? It's hugely problematic for me, you fucking master.
Why did you do it before you died? You know, just kind of left
why
the world.
Didn't you tell me? Maybe at least about one or two.
Well, he's got the fucking Eye of Agamotto. Like, the Eye of Agamotto didn't show him a few things. Like, it's so stupid. Like, you sight beyond sight. Can't see anything. Ridiculous. So okay, is that it? Did we do that? Yeah, I think we've done that.
That's all there is to say.
Yeah, so let's get down to some prime rib now. So we just ate some Kraft dinner, but now it's time for some fucking prime rib here.
Oh boy!
In the form of Steve Englehart and Gene Colan's Doctor Strange, Master of the Mystic Arts, Volume 2, issues 11 through 13, December 1975 to February 1976. Tom Palmer is doing inks and colors, and I think Tom Orzechowski is doing lettering, but can't be sure. But actually, no, it's like John Costanza did some of it, and then there's a new letterer later on. And fucking Marv Wolfman's the asshole overseeing this entire fiasco. I made you guys read these issues because I like them a lot.
I like them a lot too, man.
This is Doctor Strange for me. This is the strange shit that I like to see from Doctor Strange.
This is strange. I can't refute that.
So okay, but James, you didn't like these comics either. So let's open up with that. No, it's okay. That's fine.
It's just so fucking strange. Like I know you guys are gonna get me with some highbrow shit on this, but
I doubt it.
This was not. It was not coherent. He fucking smeared Richard Nixon. Or I was like the guy in the I was like the guy in the Richard Nixon mask, and then there's all the stranges, and I did like Eternity as a kind of a bad guy. I guess that's very weird that Doctor Strange is tangling with him, or that there's any possible way for them to tangle. I know there was sort of a weird excuse for that at the end, that he was sort of asleep. So
the issue of Eternity is, so Eternity was first, like, he shows up for the first time in Doctor Strange comics, like as the creation of Steve Ditko. So this is and it's that version of Eternity that we're seeing, not the kind of Eternity that we see later with the Infinity Gauntlet, like not Jim Starlin's Eternity. This is an earlier sort of proto version of that. So that's why it seems a little strange to us.
It's still like sort of a great creator, and then I just feel like the whole thing's a big, gigantic fucking mess with like old samurais putting the universe in a headlock, and it's just so many bizarre fucking demons and jumping in and out of mines and bad guys that I can't really label because there's so many masks that get ripped off people. Yeah,
there's some Scooby-Doo level shit going on there with some of this.
Yeah, like a lot. And then there's Nightmare. That was the Nightmare I was making gags about earlier. And it didn't. I guess it made sense. I do like the. I do like the idea that this is just fully blasphemous, but.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
just that, like, it's I don't know, what do you mean, like against Christianity?
It's just like a book about a wizard, and then there's a dude that gets put in a headlock who created men. Basically, like, there is a deity, he's not God or Jesus, and he made us using a normal theory of evolution. It's like fucking backwards. I don't know.
Yeah, it does say all that.
It's true, but like at the same time, it still gestures towards, in the same way that Vertigo and DC Comics, like even in Sandman, like there is a god, and like all the gods, there's lesser gods though, but there's still like, so it's kind of like a Neoplatonic universe.
I think the suggestion though that like the universe is destroyed, so this that Eternity like remakes it all, so technically he's the creator. I know Stan Lee.
It appeared, that's right. That thing you shared. How did they solve that problem again? So Stan Lee got all weird.
I think I forgot now. Yeah, he thought it would be, like a big problem, and then they like forged fan mail and like sent it in to talk about how much they liked. I don't understand how that makes sense, because like how would the fans have known? But maybe it's just like, oh, like I love what you're doing with Eternity or something like that. I don't know.
Stan was not paying attention. So at this time, Steve Englehart is I'm not going to say revolutionizing comics, but he's writing Captain America, and we'll talk more about that in a couple seconds. He's writing Avengers. He's definitely putting his stamp on Batman and Detective Comics right now. Apparently also writing the Incredible Hulk. This guy was writing a ton of shit. And so in his Captain America run, this is not the first time that Steve Englehart has been fucking around with Richard Nixon. He has the Captain America. He's discovered this conspiracy. He's discovered this like secret empire that's controlling the American government. And then he finally figures out who the leader of this secret government is, and it's the president. Now they don't show that it's Richard Nixon, but it's Richard Nixon, and then Richard Nixon blows his fucking brains out, and Captain America's shocked, and it all takes place off panel, and so Stan Lee, who is publisher at the time, or like editor in chief, whatever his title was, like he's out to lunch, he's just being famous, right? Because Stan Lee's a fucking prick, and he's just out there being Stan Lee for the world, and everybody's lapping it up. And some college kids are asking him, like, in the newest issue of Captain America, I heard, and he was like, oh, and that was the first time he learned about it, because he's not reading the books. And so it's basically like the inmates are running the asylum, and they just got to appease Stan and make sure Stan doesn't figure out that like they're fucking around.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, that's my sense anyway.
Yeah. What do you guys think of the? I before we go too far, I want to know what you guys thought about the art, because I actually really liked Gene Colan.
Yeah, man, I'm into it. This is the good stuff. This is much better than what we saw on the Spectre, although it's equivalent.
Oh shit, that was the same dude, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh wow.
I think the art was fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, this is what I like. This is more, honestly, like, despite the little bit of hate there, this is more what I expect, or this is more like, even though I don't care for it, this is more what I want from Doctor Strange book. Like, you should be seeing bizarre shit and not know whether you're in reality or in the mind, and get all these like landscapes and paintings and powers and psychic visions. Like, this is, and darker. It's more Doctor Strange, and the art's fantastic. The art's like really, like, I don't know, I think it's pretty ahead of its time, really.
Yeah, it's messy. It's interesting. I actually read up on Gene Colan a little bit, and he, first of all, fun fact, he admitted to relying on amphetamines to make his deadlines for illustrating Doctor Strange.
Oh yeah.
And he'd go around New York and like draw like Greenwich Village and kind of like just like take his locales from that and just like get high on speed and like churn it out.
Fucking awesome! Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Go on.
Apparently, he also had he has this like strange way of doing textures. Like, he uses a lot of grays in his pencils, so it was hard to ink and for inkers to do them justice. So that who's the inker?
Tom
Palmer. Yeah, he was like the personal like inker. He's the only guy who could capture the correct strokes. Yeah. Right. So I mean, I think there's something there's almost something I found like painterly or textured about those looks on the page. Like, it moves a lot. It's cool.
Mm-hmm. No, like these images are wild. Like, he smears faces together, and yeah, Painterly's good. He's still legible comics art, but like, when things get weird, like his panels dissolve and overlap with one another and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden everything's in proper frame, and it's a normal comic again, and then it will dissolve, and it's a very, it does a lot of the work that this story requires, or this universe requires.
Yeah, it should be messy. It should, like, I totally agree with you guys. Like, weird shadowed, and it does all that. In fact, in a way, this made me think of like almost, and I do want to make fun of this story a lot because there's like a lot of ridiculous shit.
It's fucking stupid.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's almost like a proto Sandman story.
Yeah, it is. Like Steve Englehart really. I think he and to a far lesser extent Mensch and Steve Gerbert, or these guys were laying the groundwork for your Frank Millers and your Alan Moores and your Neil Gaiman. It's strange to think that, but like, yeah, these are the guys doing that stuff.
It's funny now that you guys mentioned that, or Chris, now that you mentioned that, I can sort of see, you can almost kind of see where they struggled with showing with too much black on the inking because of the gray use. You can see it in the costume sometimes in Doctor Strange's legs and stuff, where it's like they were struggling to get the detail in.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just because this copy of it's like washed out a little bit, but
yeah, I'd love to see the original. Like, this is computer transfer that we're looking at, because we're looking at. I'd love to see the comics on the newsprint, because newsprint, it's different. It's a different beast, and sometimes it looks a lot better. I suspect that it would. Not that this looks bad, but I would just, not that I'll ever get my hands on these issues, but if I ever did, I would look at them. Scary. I carried that through to my logical conclusion in my head, and I was like, this is the stupidest fucking sentence. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, I don't know. What do we want to start with here? So, there's actually the beginning of this story. Obviously, where I didn't want to make you read like 4 or 5 issues, but this story is actually a little bit longer. And the themes that it's kind of grappling with begin even earlier. Doctor Strange encounters like an addict on the street, and he's like, be careful, you're being self-destructive. And the guy's like, what about pollution? What about greenhouse gases? The Earth's just going to get hotter and hotter.
Shit.
And that, yeah, and that sort of like those sort of concerns sort of animate this story. And that's sort of missing. Not that you don't need it, but to me it struck me as a little bit more explanatory of why Eternity's like the Earth will be destroyed.
Yeah. Well, you know what this is basically? It's a Q story. Although it predates Q, but I mean, like,
oh my goodness,
it's humanity's on trial, and Doctor
Right.
Strange's got to stand up for it.
Yeah. Fucking Q. Much less entertaining than Q. The relationship between Doctor Strange and is not the relationship between Picard and Q.
Yeah, Eternity's a dick. In fact, he's his
Oh man, Eternity's he's a cock in this.
Yeah.
He's like he fucks up, he gets beat, he loses to Nightmare, I guess, is what happened. Or it
is Nightmare, yeah.
And then he basically like at the end scalds Doctor Strange for like fucking trying to stand up for himself. Like, the Earth's gone because you fucked up. And he's like, don't fucking. And then he turns him into like a pigly, like a little green, like a gremlin.
That was
awesome.
weird.
That was weird. Yeah, with emo hair.
It was very weird. The ending was very weird. And then they just sort of bro up after the master puts him in a bit of a fucking schoolyard headlock.
Yeah.
This story makes like the first. So we read 3 issues. So the first 2 I think are coherent, but ultimately defeating, right? The hero's completely defeated. Everything's all fucked. The world literally explodes, which that page is so good. And then Englehart's left with like, okay, how do I undo this? Oh, it was all a dream, and it's like, that's very stupid.
But Eternity's
or
dream.
It's very Doctor Strange and nightmarish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't know. We'll get to like, is that whole idea of like Nightmare overcoming Eternity? Yeah, is basically because he's like, people are doing LSD. Like, isn't that basically what he's talking about? Like people started expanding their consciousness, and the Nightmare came in, like, because it's 70 whatever. These guys are doing a ton of LSD.
Oh, these guys are doing drugs. You can't make this kind of stuff without drugs.
Yeah.
In the context of it, I thought that he was talking about allowing people to use magic, but you're probably right. Yeah. It opened too many doorways and it let Nightmare in. And Nightmare's people sleep for a third of the day, so Nightmare got too powerful. It's fucking weird.
And that's funny too. That's part of the kind of Freddy gags that like anybody can be defeated by Nightmare, because eventually you fall asleep or you rest your consciousness and he slips.
Yeah, he'll get you. And this Eternity is not like, again, I'll get back to, yes, he recreates the Earth, but there's something about he's described as like the prototypical life force, like but not just of consciousness, and so like that's why he's in the form of a man, because it's the universe sort of becoming awake and he's the representative of that. It doesn't quite hold, like how does he have the power to like recreate the Earth? And does he recreate the universe, or does he just recreate the Earth? I guess it really doesn't fucking matter, but
it's really confusing. Like, it doesn't make it. You don't want to look too closely at this because it doesn't. But he says that Baron Mordo destroyed the universe in a dream, in Eternity's dream. Therefore, it was a false creation. So he's not going to go back and undo that, because Eternity does not change the past. But what he will do is recreate the entire Earth up to the moment that it was destroyed, and that solves the problem.
Yeah. The follow-up issues about this are so fucking weird, because Strange is all weirded out like it's a Philip K. Dick story. He's like, is anything real anymore? And he can't talk to people because they're all like, he's like, you're not the real person. You're like a recreation. And he has all these problems with Klee. And
I like that.
And then he tells her, and she fucking loses her fucking shit. He's like, she can't handle it. It's pretty wild.
I think that was the best. That was the best. The closing line in the three books was, he sits there a very long time, coming down. Like literally coming down off drugs.
Yeah. And he looks all paranoid and weird. He's like clenching.
He's exactly like our writer here, coming down off his goddamn blow.
Yeah. This is a unique, like, that's, you can feel the creative, like the synergy here between like amphetamines and LSD.
Yeah, you're right.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah, but it's so fun. Like they're so playful in those panels where, and like just trolling kids who might be reading that comic. Like, all the children in the world died, but how could you still be here? How could you be reading this? Yeah. And the splash page of the third issue where it's like, the world is destroyed. The world is destroyed. And then you got the big like title, the world is destroyed.
Yeah. It is very playful. I mean, the fact that like Richard Nixon shows up, right? You're a charlatan. God, won't you ever get wise? You're just like,
yeah.
This is fucking beautiful.
Yeah. So let's talk about that part. So yeah, the first issue, like he's I guess his first trial, and I guess Eternity's big problem with Doctor Strange seems to be that he's been different people. He's had different phases. He had growth. So like, which Strange is the real Strange? Like, you're not even consistent. It's like, well, fuck you, man. Don't be so judgmental. But he is judgmental, fair. And he's Eternity, so he gets to do it. And so then he ends up in this part. I love that he's like, he shows up at this party. Everyone's Doctor Strange, like different versions of himself. And he's like, it looks like a celebration, but there's no women here. So it's just a Doctor Strange sausage party that he gets to attend.
I guess maybe we'll say that from the perspective of Eternity, all Doctor Stranges are the true Doctor Strange, and every moment is now. So for him, he's just, make me understand. But I mean, obviously that's not being explored here because it's just fucking stupid.
Because you're reading it way deeper than.
I don't know. Okay, so I got a book on the old shelf. It's called Mysterious Travelers: Steve Ditko and the Search for a New Liberal Identity. And here's a description of the original Doctor Strange stories, and I think it's an excellent framing device for reading these, because I think Englehart is just going right back to the source. So Doctor Strange's adventures to the cosmic intraspace, whether they be dreamscapes or dark dimensions, result in Strange confronting the demons that haunt the subconscious, nightmare, the temptations of power and greed, Dormammu, and one's own evil opposite, demon. I don't know who demon is. And Strange's modus operandi is to explore these internal realms and expose those phantoms, both for himself and for those who seek his assistance. Doctor Strange is at once a psychonaut and a therapist. And I think that's essentially what this it's a sort of a recreation of that original Ditko conflict, and what in throwing Doctor Strange into his own subconscious and making him face his own previous issues. And what I like about what Englehart has done here is that at the end, Strange is like, you fucking idiot, I've already done this, this is, I already knew all this, like what was the point of all of that? And I like that. I think that's because it's stupid. Go on.
I like that too. I like it in a I read it slightly differently. I think the Doctor Strange that I like, like the moments that really do it for me is like, I think Doctor Strange is a character who believes that he's transcended his ego, that he's not arrogant, and the fact that like it constantly recoiling on him and like having to like wrestle it down again is really fun. And I think like I see that moment as like a very prototypical like I've already learned all these lessons. Like, you can't teach me anything. Like, what are you doing? And then the attorney is like, well, okay, so what's actually changed them? What have you learned from them? He's like, I know magic now. I have the power to change everything. So like, okay, so like, not really the or the introspective lesson you thought.
Well, yeah, he's like, I've learned sorcery. Yeah, this is exactly what you're talking about. What is personal improvement or the improvement of the few like you done to change that? And he's like, I've learned sorcery. As I told the ruler, my power, if I had it, would far outstrip his. And as I've told you from the start, I could save the world through sorcery. And I think this is in keeping with the original Ditko too, because like I agree with you. I think that's an excellent way of reading Doctor Strange, and the only way for him to continue as a narrative. and I think this is the problem you have, James, with Doctor Strange, is that he's too. That's like the quest to overcome one's pride on a like some sort of like Tibetan level is not. It doesn't make for exciting drama.
Yeah, true.
And you can do weird shit like this, but there's only so much. Like I bet all the Doctor Strange stories are done. Like you can't keep going to that well. Although there's maybe a parallel here between the Oath and what we're talking about. Like let's just replace the word sorcery with technology. I've learned how to and how are we going to deal with global warming? Oh, we're going to put like fucking particles in the air to reflect the sun. That's going to be a great idea. And like this idea that we're going to geoengineer our way out of this is so what is all your doing yoga? What fucking good is that? Oh, don't worry about it. The engineers are on it. I think maybe there's something there that Englehart might be trying to reach at that is kind of scraped a little bit by Brian K. Vaughan's story, but
yeah, by that. Yeah.
Well, I like the Psychonaut description.
Yeah, man, he's
the way that he's like a sort of a therapist. But I mean, like, and that's I think the problem is that when you get into this whole like Sorcerer Supreme thing, that he's been like pigeonholed as sort of like a godlike be all and end all character for the Marvel universe. That you strip away your ability to tell those smaller level stories that would probably be more fun and more interesting.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, as you're saying all that, it strikes me that in the Multiverse of Madness, they actually do a pretty good job of reviving that kind of like the therapist kind of role in a way.
Okay.
Yeah, not incompatible.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so okay, and this all seems to. So all right, so I guess that's issue number one. He's faced his own demons and Richard Nixon and the Mask of the Red Death and all that shit.
Yeah. And it's all like versions. I just wanted to point out, like, ridiculous line. My favorite line of the whole thing is one of the Doctor Strange's, I guess he doesn't have his magic, so he has to use, he's like, hey, well, that's fine. I'm also a master of the martial arts as well.
Yes.
And the other guy's like, that's fine, but I have a lead pipe. So then Doctor Strange wakes up and he's like, it's been many a month since I've been clothed like that. Just sorcery, way less glamorous than you're led to believe.
You get to do a lot of scraps, man. It's tough being Sorcerer's Supreme.
True, that was beautiful.
There he lies, just like any other man. What a fool.
Just dummied.
And the alcoholics, the alcoholic guys, like, he's so offended when he's like lurking behind him, he's gonna club him again with a chain, and then he's just like, you think you're so high and mighty, but you don't trust me at all.
Well, and it's weird, okay, because the only reason he turned his head, we're led to believe, is because like Klee is doing some sort of like orgasm ceremony. Steven! And then he turns his head, by all the gods. Actually, that's how I read it, but maybe that's not the case. Yeah. Anyway.
No, you're right. He hears her. Something caused him to glance up at the last second.
Oh, right. There we go. Yeah. You don't believe in yourself or anyone else,
drunken fool.
Yeah. Well, what about you? Yeah, and this is stupid. It's like, it's taunting, and I like that Doctor Strange doesn't give it second thought. Like, you're left as the reader, like, if you trusted me, you'd never have turned your head. Don't preach to me. But like, it wasn't distrust that led him to do that. Like, there is a self-assuredness to him, even though the reader is left to think that he is doubting himself. So
then you got that weird Mask of the Red Death thing. I guess Nixon invites the Red Death to the party, and he thinks he can control it. And like, I guess Nixon's supposed to be like the ultimate arrogance of a Doctor Strange who thinks that he can control everything, including death. And there's that weird moment where the mask of the Red Death melts off, and it's like a mask of comedy underneath, and he's like, underneath it all is another. It is the mask of comedy. Death is nothing but that, which is a weird thing. But I guess if you believe in God, if you're a Christian, then it kind of makes sense. Death can't touch you because like your soul is immortal and you're going to be going to a happier place.
I read it as like tragedy comedy. Like he was previously wearing the mask of tragedy. Now he's wearing the mask of comedy, and oh my God, the drama continues.
Okay, I like that. I like that better. Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
Yeah.
I still didn't like that.
And I guess so. Like I don't like people. That's why I had to rule them, keep them in their place. I don't know. I guess everybody. I dislike people, and I would love to be able to tell them what to do. So I guess it's just positing that everybody has that inner Nixon. Everybody has a little Nixon inside them. But Stephen has conquered that element, or apparently, believes that he has. Yeah. What's the actually the next issue has my favorite fucking baller Doctor Strange moment when him and the Ancient One, they just like walk on that trapeze line over top of the abyss and they just have a chat. I just think that's so fucking cool.
That
so
was
fucking
actually
cool.
a bit cool. Yeah.
Yeah. He just walks over. He's all like Orientalist and shit. It's fucking cool. Yeah, and then of course brings in the tarot and all that sort of Morrison-esque shit that you get later on. They played a lot more with those ideas than you'd think in the 70s as well.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right though. It is very Morrison-esque.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't know. What do we got anything else on this stuff?
On this stuff, like the middle issues, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
It's a middle issue. It's not a lot going on.
Yeah. Other than like, I guess Mordo just gets the other madness, strange. I don't know what to make of that actually. I was insane.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah. But the art fucking sells it, so great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like Mordo's spirit merges with an old mystic, and somehow the fact that he's crazy, and even though the old mystic is like useless, like they're an awesome combination, ready to take on Doctor Strange.
Yeah, it's like I am yet insane, gloriously amok, and the Genghis is yet senile. Like I don't know, like. Is it like Genghis Khan? Is that what we're supposed to be thinking? Like it's like this old warlord or something like that, who's also like a magician. And when our minds meshed, if only for an instant, I found perspective in the maelstrom. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what other than I merged with Fu Manchu and fuck.
Basically, yeah.
Oh shit. And then actually there's kind of a nice thing when he's like, I have to call Klee to me. I'm going to call, and there's this idea that love is somehow going to overcome the apocalypse. And it's like, it's completely failed, like even love has failed in this instance. And I like that hopelessness and like the utter fucking nihilism of this ending. Just so cool.
Yeah, it does leave in yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and then it gets into the stuff that James was talking about with like Nightmare showing up and everything we already kind of talked about with Eternity recreating the universe, and then being a fucking dick about it. And
yeah, I like that Eternity says I don't feel petty emotions like gratitude. Better watch your tone with me, Val.
And then he immediately flips to I'm not incapable of rage or fucking something like that to that effect, or
rage is
or anger or whatever. I can't remember what he said, but he just like he was like, I'm not capable of expressing emotion. I'm capable of expressing emotion. I was like, fucking like, okay.
And you're so right. The absurdity of like this thing wrapping up with the Ancient One putting Eternity into a headlock and like giving him a little judo throw, and it's all over.
It's like, and I like how he's like kind of disheveled at the end. His face is all fucked up because that headlock was so solid.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't just he also like he flips him, doesn't he? Like it looks like he's breaking his fucking back. Yeah. So he gained and I guess. And the Ancient One, he's just like, like I just really liked Earth, so I came back, even though I am part of eternity, and I'm looking at eternity. He's holding his nose, like someone just punched him in the fucking nose.
And eternity really likes Earth too. And I'm gonna put it out there that maybe if your nightmare destroying the planet that's like the source of your power because people are dreaming, maybe not a good end game either.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, it's Doctor Strange saves Nightmare in this.
Yeah.
I don't think that. I don't think Nightmare has actually any agency in this story. I think like he just ends up being like a manifestation of Eternity's subconscious. Because of all the LSD that we were talking about earlier. So he
just grew too big and just kind of like couldn't help his nature.
I guess so, yeah. And then all of this plays out like this is, this gets into that psychonaut thing and kind of therapist thing too, because although Doctor Strange is useless in this fucking story, but the Ancient One isn't, and that sort of Orientalist search for Buddhist enlightenment and all that stuff, that's what calms the universe, and makes it docile to sorcery, and to like, at the end of the day, this is kind of a story about how like sort of Western notions of peace from the East will allow them to dominate the universe fully.
Oh yeah, it kind of is. Yeah, that's hard to refute. Yeah, I guess the one thing Strange does do is that he's the therapist to Eternity. Like he helps him wake up from that dream and makes him confront Nightmare.
Yeah.
And confront what he's done.
And recreate all of it, man. I love this and the sacrilege thing, like there's Jesus in this thing. So it just makes it seem very secular. Even though it's a super mystic. Moving to algae, to lizards. Yeah. And then Ancient One joins with Eternity, as we knew he would.
That makes so much sense.
Did we know that he would?
Yeah. We knew he was part of it. Like again, like this was established earlier, and I think it's established in I think once again the Ditko stuff, and maybe I'm wrong about that. The Ancient One. No, I think it's sorry, I saw.
Why was the Ancient One so big anyway?
Yeah, it doesn't fucking matter. Anyway, well, I'm glad you guys went on this ride.
Yeah.
I've tried to find the creme de la creme of Doctor Strange stories, and I, honestly, sadly, I think this is it.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I haven't.
I'm one with the universe. When the Mystic Master opens his eyes, he's back in his study in his sanctum on Earth. He sits there for a very long time, coming down. For me, there's those last two panels. You could say Doctor Strange is just in his fucking laboratory doing so much fucking drugs that none of this happened at all.
Yeah, it certainly seems like it. And he's just sort of weirded out. And then he's going to spend the next few issues worried that he's going to be paranoid for the next few issues.
Yeah, he's going to be paranoid for a good 48 to 72 hours of pure fucking dopamine serotonin crash.
Total psychotic break.
Shit.
Yeah.
So do we want to? Let's do this. Doctor Strange as a concept, guilty or innocent?
Oh,
Doctor Strange as a concept is innocent for me. I think there's good ideas. I think the character's cool, and I just think that if we just stopped putting him up with the cosmics, and he could just be a street level hero, that there's like so many more cool things you could do with them that they would have less weight.
How is that innocent?
Well, I don't know. I just think that
That's a funny definition of innocent.
Maybe that's what they did here by making me feel like he's just a dude in a fucking cape doing drugs.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's.
I like that version of Doctor Strange very much.
Yeah, that's like it is just like, oh, Strange is doing his experiments again.
That's why he never comes out of that fucking weird ass house.
Yeah, I call it my sanctum.
You could dream, man.
The sanctum. Yeah, I don't go talk to Doctor Strange anymore. I went there once.
I'm cured. Yeah, man. I gotta get out of here. I gotta go.
Talked about consciousness expansion the entire time. It was fucking annoying.
All right. I want to put it out to you guys that this is double jeopardy, because how can Strange be anything other than innocent when Eternity already judged him for the same crime?
Oh my goodness, yeah. That's fair. I mean, then we might have to acquit. That's fine. The
mistrial.
I'm gonna say that in the before the what's the fucking three-headed or actually it's not three-headed in the who's the living tribunal? There we go. You put him in front of the living tribunal, which that's such a weird cosmic concept. But anyway, I would say that within the multiverse of potential Doctor Strange stories, when all Doctor Stranges are one, I think he's guilty. I think it's he's great ideas in search of a story, and very rarely does he find it. It just turns into generic fucking bullshit. And no one's it. I think, James, listening to what you were saying, like, strangely, I think he needs the Morbius treatment that we got from that Morbius miniseries. Just power him down completely and make it a lot more about drugs and weird shit, and that might be more interesting. Just like lower the stakes a little bit, because these cosmic stakes, like, I think the story's done. I think it's all done. And so you got nowhere else to go, and that's why this comic never gets anywhere.
Can I ask you guys something though? Like,
sure.
How is that not Constantine if you're powering him down to being like sort of a street level magician?
Oh well,
fair.
It's true. It's more. He's like kind of like more of like he's like a Constantine maybe that doesn't understand that. Or he's just dressing more like a pervert, but he is not.
You're right. Yeah, it would be a different vibe because the character would be very different.
And I don't think like
cool. And,
Constantine gets drunk and smokes a lot and maybe gets high, but
runs
we're talking
grifts on people.
Yeah, like this is my Doctor Strange in this version does a lot of DMT and talks to machine elves a little bit. Comes back a little weird, but like he gets like flashes of insight regarding crimes or something. I don't know.
He's got all his like spots on his hands and he's waving his fucking hands around.
He just has like some great insight into his friend's problems too at the end of the day,
Yeah, but you still
some really
get the
solid
chance.
Advice.
Yeah. I think it's, but you still get it. Like you could still do all the cosmic stories, but they would all be within his own mind. And he would have his own like cosmology that like sometimes people would get sucked into in some sort of Ouroboros loop. There's a million things you could do with it. And I'm like, the more I just talk out loud, the more I'm enamored with this idea.
But then to just like put a big greasy fucking coat of lipstick on it and just be like, he's a stupid magician and Marvel movie it is just, I don't know. Takes the piss out of it for me. Now I feel like I see a Doctor Strange that I want.
Well, now you feel my pain. Now you feel my pain, friend. That's all I wanted from this. That's all I wanted from this podcast. We're done.
Achieved.
Good night. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Now all we need is a little energon and a lot of luck.